I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about we were both avoidant.
How is it possible? Before we begin, I did want to say that Craig and I are both available for coaching sessions. So if you would like a one-on-one conversation about your situation, we are more than happy to help you. You can check out the link in the description below or also book through the website.
Absolutely. So sometimes I get people that actually say, I'm avoidant and my ex is avoidant. And when that happens, they're often like, okay, let's make sure, okay? Because this doesn't happen too often, right? Two avoidants getting together. So today we're going to be talking about what happens when two avoidants get together.
And part of this video is going to be drawn from inspiration from Dr. Jonice Webb. We have talked about her before in the past. I am a huge fan of her articles. I think she does a really great job. So she talks about emotionally neglectful couples, and that really is what two avoidants together is like. So we've often heard the description of two people with avoidant attachment styles in a relationship being like opposing poles of a magnet. So we've often heard the description of two avoidants being together as the same poles of a magnet trying to come together, and they constantly repel. I don't know if you've ever flipped a magnet over and it's like it doesn't want to touch. That's how it can be sometimes with two avoidants together, is that they both have a greater need for space than people with anxious attachment styles and even people with secure attachment styles. So it's always going to be this great chasm between the two of them. And what can happen very often in these types of relationships is that important issues go unspoken about. Imagine two people who are unattuned to their own emotions and also having a hard time being attuned to each other. It can be really hard to pinpoint exactly what the core issue is or what's wrong. There can be just this general sense of unease in the relationship and neither party really knowing what's wrong. Can be really, really tough.
What are the issues? I don't know.
I don't know either. I just know something's wrong.
We haven't talked. Is that bad? I don't know.
Right. And there is also a lack of communication skills that often goes hand in hand with the avoidant attachment style that makes this even harder. That it can be harder to bring up that something feels off. And therefore, that conversation doesn't happen. And normally things worsen with time when they're not dealt with directly. One thing that Dr. Webb had said in her article that I really liked, that I really thought hit the nail on the head, was she said, since childhood emotional neglect is difficult to see or remember, many couples have no idea it's affecting their marriage. So a lot of times avoidant attachment style, they will be blind to the ways that their childhood has affected them. Meaning that in relationships, it's going to be hard for them to realize that pattern that I've been doing for years, that I learned as a child, that I had to do as a child to survive, is popping up now. That can be beyond their level of self-awareness.
And so you can imagine that if you have two avoidants together, these relationships are really going to die out quickly because you don't have that powerful pull to each other. You have two people kind of pushing away. And so there's not a lot of engagement. There's not a lot of emotional investment, wondering how the other person is, really trying to make a strong bond or connection, particularly if they're more like a dismissive avoidant as opposed to the fearful avoidant, right? People that tend to be more dismissive tend to be less interested in how other people feel or how it's going. And sometimes they can have this attitude of like, well, it's just not working, right? so they're going to be like, oh, well, it's just not working. So whatever. And both people are going to wonder it. So it becomes like their own functioning dysfunction for a while, where they're both together and it's got some kind of function, but not going to stick around too long.
Mm-hmm. And there are rare cases where two avoidants are able to have a long-term relationship, but this once again is that functional dysfunction. It can be where both partners are workaholics,
Mm-hmm.
and so it works for them to not be so connected. They can invest in other areas of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you'll find one partner who's really involved in their social life or their hobbies, and they are still avoidant in their romantic relationships, but their partner works constantly or travels for work. So for years and years and years, they have this very disconnected type of relationship that works for them because they're, saving on, mortgage, saving on rent.
Mm-hmm.
They can have all of their goals, a family, kids together, and all of these things, and they don't really have that need for that emotional closeness.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of times that and different scenarios that work for those people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if both people are avoidant, even in that situation, one tends to be a little bit more avoidant than the other, and the other one tends to be a little bit anxious. Okay. It's very rarely going to be exactly the same amount of avoidance, right? It's like, so even in that case, you could have two avoidants, but one's more and one's less.
Mm-hmm.
So those things are still, the anxious avoidant trap is even going to come up in an avoidant relationship to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Just not likely as intense or overwhelming when the anxious person is feeling like they're going to die.
Exactly. Everybody has their own definitions about how much space is too much and how much closeness is too much, even if you're avoidant.
Mm-hmm.
So those are still issues that can pop up. The other thing that Dr. Webb pointed out in her article is that there are frequent struggles of these types of relationships, and that can include having a lot of assumptions about your partner because you are not talking through what matters to you or what's bothering you. The other thing is passive aggressiveness. Because you struggle with communication, you're trying to get out what you want to say in other ways. And the last one being slowly growing apart.
Yeah.
There is hope, though. I know a lot of this video has been kind of dreary. There is hope. And I love the way Dr. Webb puts it. She says one of them will wake up emotionally and knock on the other's wall. So if you are watching this video and you realize, man, I'm a little bit more avoidant and so is my partner, the hope is that if one person in that system can change, it can affect the entire system. So if you realize, wow, I'm not as emotionally in tuned as other people around me, or even as I would like to be, that is a really great starting point. And I'm a hopeful person. I say this all the time. I am a hopeful person.
Yeah.
So I know that these things can be worked on.
That's right. And Margaret used to say that all the time. If you're willing to do the work, you can make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Things can change. It's just that two people have to make a real effort to do so. And for avoidance, you have to work on becoming more emotionally in touch with yourself and being attuned to what your needs are and maybe why you're avoiding them, and thinking about making a real effort to think about your partner's needs and the relationship needs. And if you're willing to do it, it can change, it can grow, but it's going to be pushing past what you've been able to do before. Mm-hmm. You're pushing yourself to a new limit of closeness and vulnerability and communication and all the things that it takes to make a long-term connection work.
Exactly.
All right, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.